Hello, everyone. My name is Denise Allen, and I am speaking with you from Palatine Bridge, New York, in my little studio, a little corner of my studio. I'm not showing the whole thing because it's really a lot of stuff that I have in here. As you can see, we have some of the work that I do. These are pieces that are works in progress. But I wanted to do this little video for an event that we're going to be having the end of March, the last week in March, and it's going to be a doll show. We're going to have some dolls that we're going to be exhibiting, and then we're going to be talking about the history of doll making, and also I'm going to talk about how I came to begin making dolls over 34 years ago when I was living in Brooklyn, New York, believe it or not. So I want you to see this little card that we had made up, and it's a picture of me holding a doll. My daughter took this picture about 2 years ago. And in the background is a doll and one of my three-dimensional wall hangings. So the event is going to take place March the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. That's a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it begins at 11 a.m. in the morning and it ends at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It's going to be held at a really nice place. It's called the Inn in Palatine Bridge, New York. The owner of the inn is Mr. Jim Gallo. His telephone number is 518-673-0257. Now, the event is not free. It's a donation of $15 for the event. But that will cover the cost of lunch, coffee, or tea, whichever one you like. We're going to have on display some of my dolls. I'm just going to show you one that I made. This one is a pretty old one. She's like an old maid. I make these kind of dolls using vintage fabrics, textiles, linens. Believe it or not, what she has on her head is one of my old cotton stockings that I used to wear, believe it or not. Scraps of old vintage fabric. I use, look at this, what she's holding. Anybody know what this is? These are the old sacks that they used to use back in the day, 30, 40, 50 years ago, for flour, sugar, things like that. So I like to use old textiles to dress my dolls in. And again, she's a very old-fashioned doll. See the back of her? And for some reason, I don't know why, I can't make dolls that look very modern. I tried, but it just don't work. A lot of people say, well, again, why don't you make modern dolls? I really don't want to. So, you know, you make what you really like. And each doll is very different, one of a kind. Again, it's been over 35 years that I've been making these dolls. And I'm going to be talking about how I actually began making dolls. It was, I think, I'd like to say, divine serendipity. How I began, because I wasn't interested in doing dolls at all. But at the time, again, when I was living in Brooklyn, I met a lady who came to my house and visited, and she saw some of the other things that I was doing, which was primarily embroidery and other simple needlework art, using pillows, and then I would embroider them. And when she saw them, she said, well, you know, these are nice. I would be interested in selling your work, but I think you'd be better off making dolls. So, long story short, I told her I wasn't interested in making dolls. I didn't know how to make dolls. And she said, well, you can learn. It's very easy. She said, if you can make these pillows and do this other type of needlework, I'm sure you can make dolls. Anyway, I still wasn't interested. She wouldn't take no for an answer, so I finally decided, okay, I'm gonna just make dolls. And she said, okay, once you start making the dolls, what I'd like for you to do is call me, and I'm gonna try to sell them for you. This is another little doll, work in progress. As you can see, she looks like an old-fashioned housewife, maybe back from the late 1900s. Shawl on. This is actually a handkerchief. This is some old fabric from an antique store that I got. Actually, this is a curtain. And her bonnet is just sheeting fabric. I'm always on the hunt looking for old fabric textiles at Salvation Army antique stores, again, to use to make these dolls. But back to the lady, when I told her yes, I would start to make the dolls, she said good. When she left, I tore up her telephone number because I said, no, I'm not going to make the dolls, even though I told her yes, I told her fib. But then after a year or two passed, something happened to me, and I started to do a lot of different kind of needlework, and it came to me, maybe I should start making dolls. So I did. And after I started making the dolls, people really liked them. They started selling. And then I decided, I want to start making other different type of dolls too. I want to do paper dolls. So from cloth dolls to paper dolls, and I'm going to show you some of my paper dolls. Okay? And it's been a very interesting journey. Here are paper dolls that I make. Okay? Again, one of a kind. And I use some old discarded boxes to make my dolls. Here we go. Jiffy Corn Muffin Mix. Okay. And then I just use regular paper. This is paper that I used to paint on, but I also use it to just make the dolls. It's doll making for me is just so absolutely wonderful. I mean, it creates how can I say it? Makes me feel so good. It creates and moves my creative juices when I make these dolls. And also the other thing is these dolls have taken me places that I never dreamed that I would go. Because once I started making them, I would get ideas about doing other type of things with these dolls. For example, here is a piece that I'm working on now. Okay. Now, this is, again, this is collage. But I use my paper dolls for it. I use old boards. I got these at Home Depot. Okay, so I take these and I paint on them, and then I add my paper dolls and I embellish them. See that? So what are these ladies doing? They're making a old-fashioned quilt. And because I can cut out not just paper dolls, I can cut out other things. I can cut out the clothes using paper, old lace, wood, you name it, to tell stories. Stories using paper dolls, real dolls, wooden dolls. I have wooden dolls also, but I just don't have them around. So again, you see this? Look at the back. Now, again, we're going to talk about, at this event, the history of doll making, not just doll making dolls that I do, but dolls that have been made down through the years, going all the way back to the 18th century. I like the 18th century themes. But I read a story not too long ago about dolls that were made going all the way back to Africa with the Egyptians. They had a doll in the coffin with an Egyptian mummy, proving that they made dolls going way back to days gone by. Okay, and for me, the reason why I really make dolls, and again, this woman, she came to me all those many years ago. I didn't know the reason why, but there was more to it than me just making dolls for fun or to sell. But it was to tell a deeper story about African American people in general, their history in regards to slavery, abolition, Reconstruction, and freedom. That's why I tell stories. That's one of the reasons why I do these dolls and these paintings, to tell those stories. I just don't make it, again, for fun. So I would like to show you, again, one more story, because you see I got so many things here. Can we push that up a little? And that one right there, that particular doll. And that particular doll, I like her. And again, I like the shakers. So a lot of my dolls look like shakers, Quakers. I haven't done any Amish dolls yet, but they're long, as you can see. They're usually long, again, like this one. They're not round. They just look like people going back during those days to the 18th century. And I wanted to, again, tell stories about slavery, abolition, and Reconstruction. The story that I like to tell about the abolition was, in regard to these dolls, are the not the Shakers, but the Quakers that helped African Americans escaping slavery. They were people, one of the people groups that really did a lot to help African American people escape slavery. So I like to use dolls like that and make dolls like that to help tell this story about slavery and abolition. This one back here, I don't know if you can see it too well. She would be a doll that would reflect freedom and abolition. She has a daughter there, holding her daughter, and a bag there. And you can see she's dressed very old-fashioned, too. Because there are stories about slavery, abolition, and freedom that have not yet been told. So I want to use my dolls, my paper dolls, and my collages to tell these stories. I have, well, I'd like to show this. Now, I'm starting to do paper dolls also, just using paper. Now, this one my husband did, because my husband is an artist. He draws very well. And so I asked him, would you start drawing some images for me? Because I can't draw like this, so that I can use them in my collage work. And he said, sure, he could. So this is one he did. I got some better ones, but I can't find them because it's, you know, I got a lot of stuff in here. But I want to show you this one right here. Let's see if it's there. Oops. Damn. Okay. I like this one. I did this not too long ago. Use the little things on the side. I met a gentleman when I first moved up here, and his name is Skip Burchard, and he's like the town historian. He actually is. And he told me a story about a slave that lived here in Palatine Bridge who was freed by the slave owner that owned him. and that before he freed him, he gave him $1. It's, you know, a story that kind of stuck with me, and so I drew a picture of it. Okay, um, and now this is the slave owner's home. He still has another slave there working for him, but the male he set free. He let go. There's another slave there, and this picture is just actually a postcard. I really liked it, so I added that in. And this right here is the you know what they put the cotton in. So I put that there. This is an old piece of linen. The cotton, you know, slave picked cotton in the basket. The hat that the slaves wore. And here it says, you can see that he's giving him the $1. And it says right here, freedom papers, deed of sale, free Negro. So that once they become free, they have to have that, you know, to get around so that they know that they're free. So again, for something like this, and I like to add on stories. So what I would do is, and again, to me, once I started doing the dolls, then I started doing the paintings. Okay, I didn't start out with the paintings first. I started with the dolls, and then the doll led me to paintings. But when I do these, actually, they're really just, I'm just drawing dolls, because dolls is on my brain. Okay, and there are so many other type of dolls that I want to do, but I haven't done it yet. So because of dolls, I do paintings, and then I start to do a collage. And now I'm doing some other things, but I got so much stuff here I can't put it together. But I like to add on so that, again, we can have this painting there. And then, why not add this? What do you think this is? This is, I collect so much stuff. I don't know how my husband can still live with me, because he said, oh my God, I don't have no space anywhere. Because you take up the space with all of your stuff. But we got enough acreage so that maybe we would build another house and have a separate house, because I keep buying more stuff and stuff to add to the stories that I want to tell, from dolls to paper dolls to paintings. So for a background, what I would do, this is just a, this comes from a cabinet. Okay. See? All it is was an old wooden cabinet. You see? It's made of wood. My husband put this on the back. And here's a story. Again, this is a piece of wood I cut out, and I added that on. This is a painting, and this is a story about an African-American family, not slavery, contemporary family, whose husband, he likes to drink a lot. Unfortunately, his wife don't play that, so she's waiting for him to come to the door, and he's got a serious problem when he get in there. So what I would do, I could tell multiple stories and frame them so that, even though not this particular piece, because this is about slavery, so I add stories. I add on to my stories. Okay, so that, like, you could tell a story from slavery, abolition, freedom to current life. Again, using dolls, paper dolls, and painting.